Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. We are doing another color tutorial today. This is my client's before and this is her after. We are doing a lived-in bright blonde balayage and we're going to be adding in some dimension today as well. So I'm going to be showing you guys how I do that and my foiling placement for more dimensional blondes but on natural brunettes. So if you are interested in watching, then just stay tuned. So we are just doing a half head on her today because we are adding a little bit more dimension. I figured that it wasn't necessary to do like a full placement on her just because she had enough blonde in her interior for me to work around. But I did want to add quite a bit of brightness still in her underneath because I could tell her underneath was kind of getting a little extra dark. So that's my favorite thing with my half head placements is I do include the underneath if needed, and I just kind of base my placement from there. So I actually wanted to go ahead and just get started underneath. It kind of depends on what I'm in the mood for, but since I did want to go in and like really make sure I prioritize the back and make sure that the back had its good amount of placement, sometimes I go ahead and get it started just so I can kind of like get it over with. And I've done it before where I like low key kind of like forget like, oh shoot, I still need to do the back. So sometimes it's nice to just kind of get her on over with. So today's foiling pattern that you guys are going to see is I'm going to be taking more like standard size weaves, not like your baby light sections, not slices either, but just your typical like even stitch where you're going to see the same amount that I pick up. There's going to be the same amount of leave out with that as well. I love that for dimensional placements on brunettes, especially where, you know, we do like a pretty icy bright blonde on her. I love that for placements like this because as long as it's applied in a way where it's blended still and not like with an overall like streaky, stripy end result, it gives it just like the right amount of dimension where you see blonde where you need to see blonde and you see dark where you need to see dark. So that's what I'm doing. She does have finer hair, so I don't like to make my sections like super duper thick because then that can make things like look a little chunky as well. But she's actually got like her hair's gotten a lot thicker over the last couple of years. Her lore is actually really interesting. Side note, I won't share her story for her because it's her story, not mine. But she actually like lost like I'd say about 90% of her hair a couple years ago, and so it's obviously all grown back, and it's grown back a lot thicker. So the thing that I have to keep in mind now with still coloring her hair is that, like I said, her hair has gotten a lot thicker. Every time I see her hair gets thicker and thicker. Her hair is literally better than even before she lost her hair. But I have to kind of keep that in mind because she's getting really thick on this interior area, which is why even though I did a full on her last time, I was like, oh my gosh, it literally looks like I didn't because you've just gotten your hair's grown and thickened up so much back down here that it like has so much dark. So anyway, that's all side notes. But as you see, I'm also too, with that in mind, I'm tipping out the ends too of this just because I want it to be something where when she pulls her hair forward, it just still has like a good amount of like that blonde pop. So I'm doing the same over here on this other side too. And with your sectioning placement, I just like to follow the growth pattern and the head shape with this. So you'll see me taking some diagonal back sections. You'll see me doing some horizontal sections. And I really just base that off of the curvature of her head and how her hair grows in that exact spot. That helps for placements to be the most fluid and natural and curated to them. Now we are moving on to the front and the money piece. So she loves a bright money piece, but she just still likes to be rooted still too. So I take my first couple sections are weaves, and then I only do one slice for her money piece, and then everything after that are teasy lights. Just basically kind of like how I was doing the back. The only thing that was different is I do a few slices for her money piece instead of like the weaves. And then after those sliced teasy lights are done, then I go back into doing like more finer stitches. So kind of like more of those finer baby light stitches. And then I increase my weave sectioning more and more until I feel like I am at a good spot where it matches up with what I was doing in the back. And that's what I'm eventually going to be doing for my stitches on the top and the sides area. I just obviously haven't gotten to that yet. But yeah, I basically just do that all up until I meet the back of the head. And as you see, I am taking my sections. So right now, what my sectioning for this was a little interesting. So I did like more of like a halo section where it kind of covers where I'm able to do like that back hairline that you saw me previously doing. I'm doing the money piece. And then after the halo area is done, then I will go in and do the sides and the top. I like to do halo sectionings even when I don't want to necessarily do a full mohawk all the way through the top, but I like to kind of have the money piece area still be a mohawk just so that I know that my placement is even and cohesive on both sides. And it just, because I do so many mohawk placements just with like my blondes anyway too, it's like what works best for me. It helps. I'm able to visualize the end result a lot more like this, and it works, like I said, the best for me. I don't love, if you've listened to my other videos, you've probably heard me say I don't love doing like money pieces based fully on their natural parts. If I do their natural parts, a lot of times I like to like zigzag, over direct, all that kind of stuff. I just have never been able to fully master like my version of like a quality money piece that's like up to my standards on myself with their natural part. Very few times have I been able to do that. So that's why I like to do these more halo sections, because then when I am to the sides and the top, I do like it to be placed along her natural part. For more dimensional placements, that's what I normally prefer. So I'm able to kind of have my best of both then. When I do this halo, I'm able to treat the money piece like a mohawk, a little mini mohawk in and of itself, but then I'm able to go off their natural part then, along the sides and the top where I want to see more dimension being pulled through. Moving on to the sides. So the sides you want to treat as your part, like it's of course part of your money piece as well, but also too, it's going to help to connect what you did in the top part of the money piece in with the back. And it also too helps to connect the money piece with the top. So you need to look to the sides as part of the money piece, but also too part of like your fluid transition too. So what I do is I normally follow my first few foils. I normally follow like the same stitch pattern that I did for the top part of the money piece. And then I will kind of do some form of variation that helps to, again, connect and blend with everything else too. So I make sure to take sections, especially what's helpful with this is that since the bottom and the top part of the money piece is already done, that's already like all mapped out for me. So it made it really easy in this case where I literally just connected. Obviously, sometimes it's not always like that. If I haven't started on the back yet or whatever. So it makes it really easy for me. But same thing, like what I did in the back is I really like to follow along with the curvature of her head and, her growth pattern and all that stuff. But as you can kind of see, again, because she does have like thinner hair, especially in her front, she just has like a little bit of a thinner like money piece area. I'm already kind of like done with the money piece placement here. I'm already kind of like back into like this more like interior part. So I'm doing the same stitch pattern that I was doing in the back of her head in that underneath part too. But I make sure to get into like the nooks and crannies, like what you see me doing right in through here. Definitely make sure that you don't neglect any like, again, like side more hairline pieces right in through here. It can be kind of hard to reach them when there's a bunch of foils in. However, that's what's going to make like the most fluid money piece, and that makes it that you don't miss out on any gaps or anything like that. And I also do the same thing on the other side of her money piece too, and then we're gonna get started here on the top. All right, now we're in the top, and sorry in advance, I don't love this camera angle, but it's only like this for like a couple seconds, and it's gonna go to a better one where I feel like you guys can really see more. But what I like to do now in placements like these when I'm working on the top is I go off of either like their natural part or the side that they part their hair at the most. If they are a part fluctuator, see maybe where if they have a favoring spot, or you could always default at the middle too. But I do like to go kind of along some form of a T parting now. And I just go in, again, the standard stitch pattern that I was doing in the underneath area where I'm taking like those standard size weaves And, I want to see just a little bit of space in between each stitch, essentially. I look at it as when I am baby lighting, I don't really want to be able to notice a significant difference between what I picked up and what I left out. I want it to be really small, scattered, etc. But with sections like these in here, it's a little bit of a better angle for you. Sectioning and placements like these, I want to be able to see just the ever so lightly just amount of space left out. And again, since I'm teasing and I'm going to be doing a root melt later on, and I'm still making sure I'm still feathering into the root, all that stuff, when it is placed intentionally like this, it is going to give like the prettiest amount of dimension. So don't be afraid to take standard stitching patterns. I know I have to tell myself that sometimes too, as someone that does so much like soft blonding, essentially. These placements can still be soft when they're done correctly, essentially. I honestly didn't want to take slices because I felt like they were going to be a little too harsh no matter how fine the slice was going to be. And I also too feel like when you're taking really fine baby lights on brunettes, when you're wanting to see like, we're wanting to see high impact blonde on a rooted placement. I also too felt like the baby lights were just going to get like lost in the hair, and I was going to have to like over foil essentially to like really be able to see something. And that just goes to show you that there really is a time and a place for everything, every placement, every stitch pattern, every little thing. So you want to always try to keep, a little bit of something in your back pocket. But I don't do too many foils along here. Since I'm doing a half head, again, like I look to the half heads as like I don't have to. Like I'm trying to more so build dimension. I think I did maybe 4 to 5 on each side. I kind of just based it off of like where I felt like each section kind of needed the most at. If there were spots I felt like there was just a little too much dark going on, obviously the topmost area, and then if there was any spots that maybe needed broken up that just had like a little too solid a blonde, like as it was growing out, if I felt like a weave would maybe kind of like help to break that up, and that was kind of how I did that. So now we're going in with some lowlights. So I do lowlights for this. I did want to do lowlights all over. So I did essentially like a full head of lowlights and then a partial highlight, or a half head highlight. Sorry. Again, I just wanted to, since she hadn't done lowlights and we had been doing a solid blonde all over, I don't always do a full head of lowlights, but just to make sure that she was getting a good amount of dimension all over. Now, I definitely did more lowlights at the sides and the top than I did in the back, but I did just a few in like the top part of the back area. And I base my lowlights, I normally kind of just like follow along with the foiling pattern that I did, and then I just kind of, it sounds probably so annoying if you're newer, so I'm so sorry, but I just kind of like go off vibes essentially. And again, I just go and I see, okay, where, after all these foils have been placed in, like where do I feel like there's still just like a little too much blonde? Where do I want to see a little bit more dimension at? And I kind of just place my low light there. I did take some weaves with this. I go back and forth on if I like to weave or slice my low lights. I do feel like I kind of do like a slice and then I like break it up ever so lightly with just like the smallest stitch, just to like make sure that it's not harsh. I want it to look really natural in the hair. And I don't think I brought any of them down through the ends. I think I just like left, even if I was just leaving like an inch or two of blonde out. Normally, my typical rule of thumb is if you kind of just go like the first, like if you kind of just like tackle the lowlights in zone 1, that can be considered more of like a shadow light where you're just building dimension in like the root part. If you take it through zone 1 and zone 2, that's a good spot to like really build dimension. And then if you take it all the way through the ends through zone 3, then that's good if you're trying to like appear darker towards the end. So we obviously weren't trying to appear darker, but we were just trying to see a little bit more dimension. So that's why I kind of just like left a couple of the inches out through the ends. I do like to take, when I'm doing these, I like to take my low light down maybe like an inch or so lower than what I'm actually trying to like visualize it on. Because I normally feather it in through the blonde, and I've done it before where I feel like if I'm being picky, like with my own work, I feel like I don't see the low light as low as I want to see it as. So I like to bring it down, since I do feather it down into like the ends. I like to drag it down like an inch or two longer than where I actually do want to see it at, because I think just mixed in, it get like the lowlights themselves get mixed in with like the blonde and it gets kind of like lost. So I like to, like I said, bring it down a little bit lower. I think too, I'm sure probably just with it being that it is so blonde, that I'm sure like that's also an issue as well, that maybe there's like the color doesn't take all the way down through the ends, whatever that looks like. Sorry if you hear my dog just kind of whining in the background. And then I also too typically prefer, if possible, to do all of the highlights first, because those are going to take a little longer to process. And lowlights normally only need to process for anywhere from like 15 to 25 minutes. Since she has a finer texture, I knew that we'd be able to let them sit for only like 15 to 20 and that we'd be good to rinse. And so that just kind of helps for everything to like process at the same time. I don't have to worry about my lowlights over depositing or anything like that. If you do have to apply them while you're doing highlights, like if you're doing like a ton of highlights and you don't feel like you're going to be able to like really go back in, if it's going to be hard to like flip through the foils and stuff like that, I would just recommend making sure that you're mixing in like a little bit of clear if you're having to put it in, if you're having to apply the lowlights with your highlights at the same time. I have had to do that before, and that is a lot more helpful. My low light formula, by the way, so she's a natural level 5. My low light formula was 6 NB and 6 GB by Redken Shades EQ, and I did 10 volume with that. Enough to add some richness, and the NB and the GB helped to fill, while like the N part of the NB then was able to actually deposit. I normally don't like to, when it's going over like bright blonde, I normally don't like to low light right back to their natural, because the 6 kind of will deposit appearing like a 5 at first anyway too. So I don't want, and plus too, like I said, we're just looking to add dimension. We weren't necessarily like looking to like intentionally bring more of her natural in. If that was the case, then we'd be going darker. It'd be more like a color melt situation, all that stuff. Rooted her with 5N from Aligo Colura Gloss, and then I toned her with my favorite Icy Blonde toner for her, and that is 9AI and 9GI equal parts from Colura Gloss. And she lifted to like a perfect level 9, so I didn't really have to do much pre-toning or anything like that. I just always like to make sure that I do a shadow root on her so that the bright blonde like looks a little bit more tasteful, because that is a pretty bright blonde for, you know, a natural brunette, but she has a little bit more lighter features and she's cooler complected, so it really works really well for her. Again, just with keeping her nice and rooty essentially. And here's her after. It looks so pretty. This just might be one of my favorite placements we've done on her. I've done her hair for a long time, so I've done all different types of colors and stuff, but I just feel like this was just a perfect mix for having the bright blonde. But I've been loving just like pulling dimension through my blonde clients' hair recently just for fall, so this has just been a lot more fun to do. And then this is the after all curled, and you can see even more of the dimension in. I just love the end result. I hope you guys do too, and I will see you guys in my next video.